Coffee with Yvonne is taking a bit of a hiatus, so make sure to enjoy these special episodes from the Coffee with Yvonne archive. We have an archive, y'all, while I rest, recharge, and get ready for the new year. I cannot wait to chat with you soon post halayas. And I look forward to all the things that we'll chat about, from marketing magics to creatives and entrepreneurs who are changing the game in their industry. So grab your coffee while enjoying these episodes from the Coffee with Yvonne archives, and let's chat.
Alabama, my Louisiana. Oh, I love Louisiana so much.
Yeah.
I have been to NOLA probably 6 times. I've been to
Okay.
Louisiana. Child, when I tell y'all food hit, my
Every
God.
single time. Every single time. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I can tell you one thing. If I had a seafood allergy, I would cry. I would cry if I had a seafood allergy down there down south. One thing I have to know for sure is y'all gumbo. What do y'all do to that gumbo? Because anywhere else I go and I have gumbo, it don't hit right, Nathan. It don't hit right.
What's crazy is that I have never cooked. I have never cooked my mom makes the best gumbo, and I want her recipe,
Okay.
but she does not. Like, I never had a chance to, like, cook with her, and she's like, "Oh, it's so simple, you just." But I don't trust myself because I feel like if I'd mess up the gumbo, I would not, like, want it again,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. My mama be gatekeeping too. She gatekeeps her pound cake, her lemon pound cake recipe. And Nathan, she the same way. It's so easy to make. All you gotta do, man, First of all, and mama, I know you watch my podcast. First of all, it is not that easy because I'm a millennial, okay? I don't go by a pinch of this, dash of that. Give me instructions.
Yes.
So I need to know the exact creamer you're using, the exact butter you're using. Because if I try to verge off and use my little plant-based butter, it don't hit the same.
It
You know what
does
I'm saying?
not.
Like,
It
I
does
can't
not.
go to Whole Foods for my ingredients. I need to pull up to the Safeway. Or like one of them spots with the grocery store where the carts just don't roll right. I need one of them grocery stores. You know what I'm saying, Nathan?
I agree, yes.
But that's not why we're here. We are here. And listeners, again, I just start talking. You know how I am. I require a lot of editing. But we are here today to talk with Nathan Barnaba. And we're going to talk about embracing the pivot in your career. And right now, the way things are in this
Yes. Yes.
is a very interesting time for us here in America, specifically for a lot of us who have friends or family who work for the federal government. So we're going to talk about things like people who are looking for ways to pivot. And I hope this conversation is of value to you because it's not just about taking your resume and hoping someone will pay attention. It's about doing the right things to make sure you market and promote yourself for that industry you want to get in. So grab your coffee or tea or juice or whatever you got with you while you're listening or watching this podcast, and let's chat. Okay, so we got to give Nathan his receipts first and foremost. Because Nathan got receipts. He got his bio I got here in front of me. And if you see me looking down, audience, per usual, I come to the conversation with notes and things like that to make sure we're having a thorough chat. Okay, so Nathan is an instructional designer and career navigator who knows firsthand what it's like to embrace the pivot in his professional journey. He began his career in state government. That means you got to be smart. To work in state government, building a foundation in learning and development before transitioning into customer education in the tech world. Again, smart. Now he creates impactful e-learning experiences that help businesses grow and empower their teams to succeed. With over 6 years of experience, again, he ain't new to this, he true to this, y'all. Nate
Facts.
is passionate. Okay, facts. Talk your stuff, Nate. Talk your stuff. Nate is passionate about helping others take control of their careers. He believes in embracing change, finding clarity in uncertainty, and building the confidence to take the next step. Having faced imposter syndrome, which we all have, and navigated his own career transition, Nate brings a relatable human perspective to conversations about growth and reinvention. And finally, through his work, Nathan strives to inspire others to lean into new opportunities, overcome self-doubt, and build careers that they are proud of. And with that being said, welcome to Coffee with Yvonne, Nathan!
Ooh. Thank you. First off, I wanted to thank you for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation. This is like one of my first like podcasts for my TikTok account, so I'm excited.
Yay! right. And to give backstory to our listeners and watchers, Nathan and I never met a day in our life. Guess how I found about Nathan? TikTok, aka the clock app.
Yep.
Sure enough, I was scrolling. My algorithm served me something besides, Beyonce Cowboy Carter album. And I was like, oh, who is this brother on here who has common sense? Let me listen to him. And Nathan was just there talking about things around like HR, career navigation, embracing the pivot. And it was just so refreshing, Nathan, because my mom works in HR and I
Mhm.
love, and one of my college bestie does too. And I love when people who look like us are giving real career advice because it's so helpful because we need
Yeah.
that. We really need that in these streets. So, starting a conversation, what does embracing the pivot mean to you in your career, just from a personal perspective?
Hmm. I would say that it means understanding that careers are not linear. Um, I realized that early in my career that just because you start in one field, you don't have to end up there or retire there forever. For me, it's about recognizing when you've outgrown a role,
Mm-hmm.
whenever you like you're tired of an industry, or even if you're tired of a way of working. That could be remote work, hybrid, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
For me, from transitioning from government to customer education, and then customer education back to government, not to kind of spoil our conversation,
That's fine.
I realized that each pivot wasn't about failure. It was about growth, if you
Mm-hmm.
look at it that way.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with that because, like, a little backstory about me, my career wasn't linear either, right? I graduated from college, Nathan, don't do the math in your head. I graduated from college in 2009. So I came out during the height of the recession. And me coming out with like a college degree, I have my degree in advertising, art, and marketing. So it's like a combination of courses of like, art history, design, and business, right? And there were no jobs. And I had to pivot very early as well. Like I had to start working out in retail, which first of all, retail is a hard job to do.
Yes.
It is a very hard job to do. And I worked in high end retail for Bloomingdale's for 3 years. And while I was there on my days off, I was going back and forth between here and New York working in fashion marketing, like in the fashion industry, marketing and PR. And that was, to me, the career I thought I was going to go into. But I actually pivoted multiple times still in marketing, though. I've worked in tourism marketing for 5 years. I worked in commercial real estate marketing for like shopping centers and malls for 3 years, where I had a portfolio of shopping centers here in the DC area. I ran the marketing for it. I
Ooh.
also period. And right now I work in STEM. I work in chemistry in
Okay.
marketing, right? Leading marketing for two big departments and special projects. But my career was never linear. But like you said, embracing the pivot doesn't mean that you have to stick with something because someone says you have to stick with it. You have gifts and talents for a reason. And thinking about it even further, how do you know, Nathan, besides that little voice in your head, how do you know it's time to pivot in your career versus just pushing through a difficult phase? Like things are a little tough, you're bored with your job. Like, how do you know? What is some of your advice?
Yeah, so I went through this in my previous role, and on paper, what's crazy is on paper, it was my dream company. I
Mm.
had all the benefits, great coworkers, all the things that should have made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter how much I tried to make it work, something felt off. Something
Mm.
felt like it was missing. And it got to the point where I knew I wasn't aligned, but I kept telling myself, if I push through, if I do this, I'll feel fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the longer I was there, it was like this void. I started feeling disconnected from my work. I just felt stuck. And I think that that's the difference. Like whenever you're going through something tough, you know that whenever you're going through a rough patch, you know that, okay, if I push through, things will get better.
Mm-hmm.
But the misalignment is like you're like, okay, it doesn't get better. You don't see that outcome improving. And I think that's when I realized, okay, I need to make a move because I'm not fulfilled right now.
Mm-hmm. And to relate to that, a story I don't really share a lot in public. I went through a period where I worked for an employer that it got so bad, Nathan, I would cry going into the office every day because I was just
Wow.
that sad going to work. I didn't feel, while the pay was great, the the environment just wasn't meant for me. And looking back at it on this situation, I leaped from the job where I was, I guess, safe to go
Mhm,
into this space running after the money, essentially. And because I was looking at the money instead of the alignment where I needed to be with my career, I created for me a space where I struggled every day having to come in and not show up as my best self. So
mm,
I think a lot of times when we look at pushing through or just staying there, pushing through may be like, to your point, it's not just about the money, it's not just about the environment, but what makes you happy as an individual where you can show up as your best self every day. If you're just sending the email to send it and you look like you growling every time you send an email, it might be
yes.
time for you to go. You know, when you had the little birthday celebrations and you just looking mad over some cake, it might be time for you to peace out of that place. Versus if you're having, like, say, for example, Nathan, a lot of folks are going through this, a leadership change, right?
Mhm,
Leadership can impact the environment you work in. However, sometimes leadership changes do come with positive changes.
true.
And sometimes you have to push through those because you have to see the other side to it before making a rash decision, like leaving your job because you're upset that that person may have left, correct?
That is very correct. And I try to so one of my friends was actually going through this, and I was trying to let him know, like, "Hey, you might wanna just, like, see how it turns out, like, don't just quit your job because of this."
Mhm.
Like, you make sure that this is what you want. And one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten in my career was, don't let one person or one simple change make you switch to another industry and go into the unknown. If you love what you do and you love where you're at, then stay and try to find a way, like, try to find the solution first
Mhm.
before giving up.
Mhm. And you're right. And also too for us millennials, with the job market being so uncertain for us day in and day out,
Yes.
it's hard sometimes to push through those challenges because we just don't know if we're going to be disposable. So that brings me to my next question. You know, things like education, right? How important is it to pursue further education? Like, not just like your MBA or something like that, but like a certification when making a career change. And how do you think, or some advice you could give to people about choosing the right programs or courses?
Yeah, so a big thing for me in my career is continuous learning. And I know that some people think that continuous learning is paying for a program or paying for something, but you can learn for free. There's YouTube, there's podcasts, there is so much information out there. And I just when it comes to certifications and things like that, I believe that they can help you definitely get your leg above, but, like, they aren't a magic key, like, you still have to do the work. And a
Mhm.
question that I started asking myself, because starting in my career, I invested a lot in training programs and people that were like, "Take my course and you'll be successful at this." And it just got to the point where I just had all these fancy pieces of paper. I didn't have any solid portfolio, and I wasted money after looking back.
Yeah.
So now I tell people who want to, like, do training or any type of certification program, ask, will it help me do the job or am I just checking off a box?
Mhm.
And that's the difference. You need to know if the information is valuable. If for example, I'm in the learning and development industry, so a lot of these companies are like, you'll learn about instructional design, but at the end of this program, will you have a portfolio? Will you have something to use to help you get your foot above, or will you just know key concepts?
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
And you're exactly right, especially in this social media stage with Nathan, I'm about to be a little shady. I'm just giving you some heads up. The people are like, visit my link in bio to learn download my workbook and this that, and the other. Okay, Buki, that's cute. But what is the value that you're bringing to the table besides telling me what I'm doing wrong? And what is the value that this will bring to me in real world practices, right? Like, for example, Nathan, I have, and I promise you I'm not bragging, I have 6 certifications in my field, as well as 2 professional certificates from an Ivy League college.
I
Uh,
love that.
Thank you,
I love
Nathan.
that.
And I'm currently in school right now. I mean, might as well pull the cat out the bag. I'm currently in school right now to get my master's of science in marketing with a concentration in analytics and leadership. All my education, including the education I'm currently working on, aligns with my day-to-day work, right? Even this podcast, essentially. And to take a step back, when I was pursuing looking at certificates and certifications, I just didn't want to pick anything. I wanted to pick something, Nathan, that aligned with the career that I currently have and the career that I wanted for myself. So
Yes.
I looked at things like, okay, social media is big, but it's not just about social, it's about content. So I looked into content marketing and writing. I looked into business writing. So thinking about writing out marketing plans and things like that. Nathan, you'd be so surprised how many people cannot write to save their life. And it's such a fundamental thing. And then I looked at, okay, I may be a coordinator, which what I was at the time when I was applying for these different courses, but I want to lead into management and thought leadership and strategic planning.
Hmm.
So then I also looked at for my Ivy League courses, I took one in women in leadership. I took one focused on that as well to build me up in those spaces. So going into what you're saying, it's not just about spending the money. It's about how can this provide the groundwork for me to go to that next level where it makes sense. So for example,
Hmm.
if you are in, um, let's just take a career random. If you are a social media manager and you want to go from a social media manager to maybe like lead of communications, what are the holes in the middle that you need to fill, right? Look at those holes and look at how education can help fill those gaps. But then you take action on your side at your job. Start to lean yourself into stepping up and saying, hey, I notice this area isn't being filled by our
Yep.
organization. Can I take the lead on developing this project or this pilot program? Now you're taking your education and you're putting practice behind that. Don't just sit there with your cute little pieces of paper on LinkedIn and then do your little celebration posts. Everybody like, yeah, you did it. But what are you doing with it, right? And then as you mentioned too, Nathan, things like podcasts, YouTube learning, etc., looking at reputable sources that are not going to just try to make you spend money to get their knowledge,
Mm.
but are actively sharing that knowledge in communal ways. That is an exchange of ideas that don't require you to enter your credit card number after. Is
Facts.
super
Facts.
important.
That I love that you said that. That's actually one of the reasons why I started creating content on TikTok was because so many people are like, "Oh, buy my course,"
Oh
and
my
like all this,
God. Oh,
and
I said that
people
out
really
loud.
want to know why. Like they want to know why. They want to know like how to get into something. And if I can give like the most free advice, like of course there's levels to things. Of course you if you want to consult with people, then make your money. I'm not against that, but
Right,
also going into it, don't expect somebody to pay. They don't even know you. Like, how do you want them to buy something for you? And then I'm not gonna lie, I fell victim to a few of those, and I purchased whatever it was, and I'm like, that's it. Like,
right.
I wasted my $40.
Right.
So it adds
They
up.
got your $40, but you're like, I got a course.
Right.
So Nathan, that brings me to my next question. In your professional opinion, say like now that we got the certifications, we got the extra degree, yay, we graduated, woohoo! How do you suggest leveraging your existing professional relationships or like your network, right, to help with getting into that second career without feeling like you're starting from scratch?
You know what? I think people need to realize that you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And those professional relationships that you have, it's okay to reach out to people. So one thing that I do, one key um thing that I try to do whenever I leave an organization or meet somebody professionally, I will check in. Like if we're connected on LinkedIn, I will reach out. Hey, how are you? Like I try to do that monthly to people just to let them know like, hey, like we work together, we might not know each other, but like we still have that relationship. And I find that even in my previous role when I was in customer education, I could always write back to my old team and be like, hey, I'm working on this. Can we chat through some things? Or here's what I'm working on. How can I collaborate with you? And I realized that your network wants to help you. They can
Hmm.
help you open doors, but you have to let them know what doors you're looking for.
Right.
You got to let them know, like, this is what I want. You're the people that you connect with, they know you. Like, they know the brand, the person, the type of person that you are, and they want to help you. So you need to leverage that relationship.
And and there's a saying I hear a lot, your network is your net worth, right?
Yes.
And I know people like to sometimes when they leave a job curse everybody out on the way out the door, tell that one person who's been eating your lunch for the past couple of years what you think about them, X, Y, and Z. But that's not always the best thing to do, right, Nathan? Like,
Not at all.
like you said, reaching out to people that you used to work with to see if they have any recommendations or any leads. If you have built a good reputation on these jobs or in these positions that you have held, people don't mind helping you out. They don't mind being like, hey, this project, because they love to like give you a little tea every now and then. Hey, this project coming
Yes.
down the pipeline, hit me up next month and I could slide you in as like a contractor or something like that. If you are someone who is reputable and has done good work in that role that you held while with that company. And also too, Nathan, while like our networks are super important to us too, things like career shifts can sometimes kind of take a ding to your budget. Like you used to being a cute girly with your paycheck, and now you're like, ooh, is that the salary? How
Yeah.
how would you suggest preparing for like a budget shift when you enter a new career? Like, especially if you have to start in like a lower paying or even like an entry level position in a new field. What are your suggestions?
Yes. So as soon as you make up your mind that you want to pivot, I recommend saving. So I pivoted twice in my career. Very early on, I was in business management and I was making bank. Like I was making money, but I know that I wanted to get into HR and I wanted to work for state government. But as soon as I knew that I wanted to do that, I cut plans, I stopped traveling, like, I made sure to pay the bills that I could and made sure that I had cushion because my new role, my role in state government that I was getting was definitely a pay cut, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew that, "Hey, this is what I want," and I know that in the future, I'll be making this money again, so I'll just take that pay cut now, get that experience so that I can have the career that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, like, if it's worth it, like, you have to sacrifice something, whether if you're sacrificing pay, are you gaining skills? Ask
Mm-hmm.
yourself that. If you're sacrificing sometimes you have to take jobs, the current market, but if you're sacrificing too much and not gaining anything, I think it's time to evaluate your career and what you wanna do next.
Mm-hmm. And you're right, Nathan. And thinking about like saving is correct because I think that's sometimes the advice we don't give enough for us like elder millennials. I own mine, elder millennials, or even like Gen Z and then Gen Alpha who'll be entering the career field. While
Mhm.
you can switch career paths, you have to be smart about the moves that you're making and understand that just because you are making, for example, $80,000 here doesn't mean that this role over here is going to give you $80,000 because you're new to
Right.
the field. Like, why are you worth $80,000? You just got here, right? And then also thinking about too, being honest, sometimes you have to be humble in taking those new roles.
Mhm.
Leave your ego at the door. While you may have been a senior executive in this field, over here, you may only be a specialist. And it's
Yep.
okay. It doesn't make you any less competent. It's just a shift in this role. You can get back up here if that's what you want to do. But for right now, this is where you are and humble yourself in that role because no one likes someone who comes in telling everybody who they used to be in their previous career. Who you are
Ugh, yes.
now, who you are now is this role in this job. And maybe if you humble yourself, those skills that you brought in that last job, you can use here to elevate yourself as well as build a positive reputation.
Yes, that's a very good point because so many times they wanna relive the golden days, but you gotta remember your why. Why did you take this new job? Why did you enter? And of course, like a demotion, I need people to realize that a demotion or you stepping down for something else is not a bad thing because you're gaining experience, you're getting that exposure to get to where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes too, Nathan, the best leaders are leaders that you don't realize how important they are until you see their title, right? Like,
Yes.
for example, in my full-time role, I work in, like we talked about before, in STEM and marketing. My SVP is one of the most humble people that I know. That she will, during our annual conferences, go to the area where we have like something called a member lounge, right? And that's where they distribute like materials, promotional materials, giveaways, etc. She will go back there if she sees her staff struggling, like they're tired, they're hungry. She'll take her blazer off because she keep that one jacket to look professional. while she at the meeting, she'll take her blazer off and she'll stand back there and tell her team, go take a break. And she'll work for a good hour. Someone like that, no matter what position they hold, exhibits leadership skills, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that even though you may be a coordinator, that you still can't be a leader. You could be a leader in seeing that if your director is struggling getting a product fulfilled and volunteering to take that piece off of their plate and leading the charge in that segment. That then shows value to your director that even though you're handling the smaller piece for them, what else can you handle in the future to show that you can also step up to move into further, more visible leadership roles? Don't be afraid to make copies. I've made copies. I've gotten coffee. Okay. I've even moved people's cars if necessary, if I had to. But when it came to time for me to step up, they knew who can step up because they knew who knew how to do the job, even if it was go for work. Mm.
Exactly. Exactly. And you could lead from anywhere.
Yes.
Anywhere,
Anyway.
whatever position it is. That's actually what I'm currently working on at my current job, which is why I went back to learning and development. Things like that, you don't have leadership isn't a job title. You can do anything. You can lead from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like that instead of, well, that's not my job. That's not my pay. No, do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Watch how you'll be noticed and watch the growth that comes with that.
Yep. And that's essentially like a working resume for you. So when it's time to move you into your next position, or even if a position comes up outside of your department or organization, they'll think about you first because of how you
Yes.
showed up in your new role. And they're like, she was a senior executive over here. She'll be perfect for this job, because she did the work. And
Yep.
also too, Nathan, let's get into some marketing because I'm a marketer. I'm always thinking about ways that you can like market and brand yourself. Hence why we have Coffee with Yvonne. It's kind of like a living resume for me, like in thought leadership, because your girl is smart. Anyway, when things like making a career pivot, how would you suggest rebranding yourself to align with your new career goals and the industry you're entering? Like you got your LinkedIn up, you're trying to think about how to talk to your audience. Tell me some key ways to rebrand yourself in your new industry.
Yes, I think when you think of rebranding, I know sometimes it feels like I'm starting from scratch. But no, you have a lot of transferable skills. One of my coworkers said something the other day. She was like, "You gotta project it till you perfect it." And that meant, yes, that was a word because that's exactly what you gotta do. Like, you walk into whatever role you want. You walk into whatever power you want and be confident and know that, "Hey, I have this skill set. I got what I need. This is who I am." I think that if you can believe that you are in that role or you have that, that oomph about yourself, then people start to believe it. I think about it, like the confidence that you show, you can inspire others. People
Mhm.
gonna be like, oh, well, you're capable. And when it comes to rebranding, that's all it is. You got to learn how to walk the walk. You got to make sure that you can, paint that picture of who you are and hey, I have this experience, this is who I am, and this is what I want to do. And I feel like that'll attract who you need to be. Whatever you put out into your career or just in your professional relationships, you'll get that back.
Mhm.
So when it comes to rebranding, just believe that you can play the part and you need to fit that part for whatever it is.
And you said something interesting that maybe we need to dive into a bit more. Transferable skills. Can you define what that is and also give an example of transferable skills?
Yeah, so many times transferable skills, like for example, teachers. That's my role. I'm as an instructional designer. Teachers do the same thing, but they teach kids.
Mm.
They create lesson plans, they create training videos or PowerPoints. In my role, that's exactly what I do. But if a teacher would apply to an instructional design role and be like, well, I taught kids, that won't really align. You got to paint the picture that I created training programs or I created a lecture or whatever to make it show like, okay, this is what this job is asking for. I did this.
Mm.
One thing that I think people should take advantage of is ChatGPT. I use it all the time for like resumes and like professional work. Upload your resume and upload a job posting and ask, "Hey, how does this align? This is my current role. How do these skills align?"
Mhm.
And it'll tell you. You just got to recognize that the wording might be different, but you've done plenty of things in a role or a job posting that can get you hired.
That's very true. And to also dive a little bit deeper, ChatGPT is a great tool, but one thing we have to keep in mind is making sure that you just don't copy word for word from
Yes, yes,
ChatGPT, because there are systems now in place that can scan to see if you're using that as a filler instead of your actual words yourself. So just make a few, adjustments here and there.
yes.
Um, so, and then to go piggyback off of what you said as well, it's actually very smart, that example you use of teachers, because in marketing, people don't realize marketers, depending on what you do, you can go also into project management, right?
Mhm.
Because what I do all day now, Nathan, which I love my job, let me put that caveat out there. What I do all day now is essentially project management and creating and launching campaigns. And you are literally, Nathan, when I tell you me and Asana go together real bad, like I'm in Asana every single day. But if I ever were to leave the field of marketing, I could go into project management because I'm handling such big campaigns on a daily basis. On paper, it doesn't look like that. But when you put them side by side, it's essentially the same thing, just in a different structural form. And thinking about it also too with portfolio, right? So I think the art of the portfolio has been kind of lost, essentially. Like,
Mhm.
I think we kind of lean on LinkedIn to tell our story a lot more, but we're not using the tools to really build actual portfolios. So how important to you is it to build a portfolio of your work when you are transitioning to a new career? And for the second question, what are some tips for creating one, whether it's on a landing page or using platforms like LinkedIn to stand out?
Yeah, I think that portfolios are amazing and that people should definitely take advantage of them, especially if they're breaking into a field that values those samples. A portfolio is a non-negotiable for me. And I think that the advice that I want to give is that it shouldn't be complex. Like, don't overthink your portfolio. As an instructional designer, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I need to do this, or I need to get like 10 videos, 10 courses, and do." But you don't have to. Start small.
Mm-hmm.
What's crazy is my very first project for my portfolio of instructional design was a simple PowerPoint about gratitude.
Mm,
That's all I did, and that landed me a role. You don't have to. It could be something that you take, something that you value. Just showing your portfolio shows that you have that skill set.
mm-hmm.
It shows that you know how to do the work or that you're qualified. Don't overthink it. Just be you and do exactly what you think is possible. Like, you'll attract the right crowd. You just gotta try.
And you know what? To kind of like lean into more what you were saying too, like for example, you say you created that one project to show the work and landed the role. People also forget there's a lot of tools like Canva, right?
Yes.
Canva,
Yeah.
in my field, instead of what we call a portfolio in more traditional fields, we also call in certain spaces like a media kit, right? So a media kit is essentially if you work in uh content creation or something like that, you show a portfolio of your work, whether it's videos, your stats, X, Y, and Z. So you can use Canva to create your own version of a digital portfolio. And that could simply be a slide deck. So a
Yes.
slide deck is when you use something like PowerPoint, but for Canva, they have their own version of slide decks. And you can create a high level slide deck. Now, don't be up there giving 25 slides of your life. We do not care. I would say give like 5 slides, 5 key slides that
Per-
tell your audience or your prospective employer about you. You do about me, highlights of your education, and then go into like maybe 3 projects that you have led, depending on your experience. And then in those next slides, give breakdowns of what you did to make those projects successful. That deck can live in a live public link. You don't have to download it every time. You can just include it as a link in your resume to show your portfolio so they could see the work that you have done. Then looking at it from a marketing side for social media, and I'm not talking about your Facebook page, I'm talking about LinkedIn. When you looked at your LinkedIn, there's a spot on LinkedIn where you can actually highlight articles, right? Articles, videos, things like that, of things that you have been featured on. And these little spots are sometimes, Nathan, key things that people miss when they're promoting themselves on LinkedIn. And this is when you pull in like, hey, did you win an award for your job? Was there like an article in like your organization's newspaper or newsletter about that award? Put that in there. So you can
Yep.
then pull from that during your interview and say, I won an award for this because of the work that I did to lead this project. Finally, for those who are on TikTok, aka the Clock app, depending on what the focus of your content is, you can also use your TikTok as a portfolio. Let me cook. Your TikTok is a visual representation of how you engage on camera and how you come across to others as well. And that can show, how does this person explain hard information or hard topics, right? How do they talk to people? How do they come across on these digital platforms? You could take those videos and include it as an example of thought leadership, of things that you have done when you're looking to transition into a new career. So let's just to add on to what you were saying from a marketing perspective, because the girls be forgetting. We're not just on social media just to be there. There are purpose and goals to this. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And I think we're in a great era right now where, like you said, TikTok, you can be discovered in almost anywhere
Mm-hmm.
with your look how we connected.
Exactly.
I was actually approached by a company because they saw my instructional design video. So it's possible, just how you put yourself out there.
I love that. And also too, Nathan, like even with my content, while it's a mix of like, a little bit of lifestyle, but like marketing content, etc. I do have people who say, I love when you do like your marketing magic breakdowns, when you break down like different campaigns and stuff like that, because it makes it accessible for a wider audience, right? And thinking about it too, what is like, if someone were to say, start their social media platform today and they want to start, building content the way that you have to build that visibility, what are some suggestions that you would have for getting started? Like, should they tackle hard topics first? Should they introduce themselves to this new audience that they're building? Like, what are some things that you have done that can help them in that journey?
Yeah. The first one is be authentic. So when I started creating videos, I actually have two TikTok accounts. One is for travel and the other is like my professional one.
Mm-hmm.
And I started creating the professional account because I wanted to kind of give advice to myself when I was first starting my career. I think that people forget that there's so many people out there that relate to you. How do you want to tell your story and how do you want to show up? You could be an expert in something. You could talk about your feelings, how you navigate a career transition, how you navigate your job, life, and somebody will relate to that. And it's easy to get discouraged when you're first starting out creating content because of engagement or whatever, but your following will come.
Mm-hmm.
I My account grew randomly in 1 month, but, like, I was posting videos all the time and getting limited interactions and limited engagement, but I felt like I was tied to the content. You gotta believe in your why. That
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to continue creating those videos and all that because I knew that, "Okay, I got 200 views. I know I helped somebody. I got 2 likes." Like, you gotta look at it like that, and don't think about the numbers. Think about why you wanna create that content and why you wanna put yourself out there and how you wanna connect to people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're exactly right. And I think sometimes too, we get so caught up in the numbers. We're like, oh, I
Yes.
only got 200 views. But if you were to put into perspective, digital audience, think about it this way. You are in a school auditorium, right? And let's take it back to when we were in high school. You remember that one school auditorium with the wooden stage and them
Yes.
drapey curtains, your principal stood in the middle talking about something you weren't paying attention to. Think about you standing up on that stage with the drapey curtain and there are 200 people. That room is full.
Yes.
That's a lot of people. Now let's take it to the next level. Your video got 1,000 views. Now that auditorium with the drapey curtains is too small to hold that audience, right? So now you're like, oh snap, it's overflow. There's so many people here. Now let's take it to the next level. Your video just didn't hit 1,000 views, people. It hit 6,000. You're like, oh, so we need to move to a bigger venue because they all came to see me. Who came to see? Oh, it's me. Like, these are things that we have to keep in mind when we're creating content. While it may seem like a small number on the screen, that's not a small number. Those are real people behind those screens, right? And then to your point too, Nathan, engagement. Engagement is so important. You may not start out with comments or, saves, etc. But when you do get those comments, talk back to your audience. respond, and even if they don't agree with you, respond respectfully, because people like to tussle so much in the comments that they don't
They
expect for
do.
someone to come back to them in a balanced way that is not negative. So that also can build credibility for you, for those who may be looking to hire you, about how you respond to negativity. So when you're in your comments, first of all, thank them for being there, thank them for, watching your content or whatever. And then also keep that conversation going, because that ticks up your video in terms of placement on the feed. And once
Yep.
people see that you're actually talking back, that builds your following for other things that people are going to watch. So that's just some
Yep.
of my suggestions. Okay. So we're in our last couple of questions, which I'm kind of sad. I'm really enjoying this, but
Same.
oh, thank you, Nathan. So, considering that you have had a pivot in your career, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned from a career pivot that didn't go as planned? Now, you touched on it a little bit. If you want to dive deeper into that, that's fine. Or if you want to use another example, that's fine as well.
Yeah, so I learned that not every pivot is perfect, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So leaving from my government job that I was tired of and just annoyed with, and going to tech thinking that the grass was greener, and going back to my I actually went back to my previous role. I'm just doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to that, I realized that, oh wow, like it's okay. I've grown. What's crazy is that when I went to the tech industry, I had all these skills. I gained these skills. So when I went back to government, I was able to negotiate a salary that's popping now. Like I'm good with my salary. I was able to show my skill set and my worth, and I feel like that's the biggest lesson I learned, was that it's okay to go back. It's okay for your pivot not to work and you're stuck. It's okay to pivot somewhere else. That's why it's called a pivot. You're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna land safely every single time, but you gotta be ready to pivot whenever things aren't working out.
Mm-hmm. And you're exactly right. And the way I look at a pivot, I say this phrase is a little cheesy. Sometimes you got to pivot like Scottie Pippen, right? Because, like, think about it too, Nathan. When you're doing a pivot, if you're on a basketball court and you have the ball in your hand, like the ball could be your career, if we're using examples, right? And you're in this position, a pivot is never straight. It's always angled, right? You're
Yep.
either moving backwards or forwards. And in that backwards or forwards move, you're deciding how you're going to move with your feet. Are you going to move in a different direction? Or are you going to try to drive through, right? And sometimes when you make a career pivot, even if you move backwards a little bit, there's still something that you can do to move to another side to drive you through to that
Yep.
next goal. So it's never like you made a mistake. You just had to reconsider your options for something that did work better for you and what you need in your personal career. Finally, before we get into our quick fire questions, and our final question, if you are pivoting into like entrepreneurship or freelancing, because for some people going into a traditional office role, it's just not for them anymore. And they just want to explore maybe consulting, right? How do you market your new business or brand without the traditional corporate backing? So you no longer have, I work for blah, blah, blah company. You're just out here on your own. What are some suggestions that you have of how to promote yourself to build your clientele and also build awareness?
Yes. Going back to leveraging your network is one. Like how people, let's say, for example, one of my friends was actually an employee at the company that I work for, the tech company that I previously worked at, and he actually quit, but he was able to kind of network a little bit and be hired as a contractor for the same company.
Okay.
I think that you need to leverage the people that know you and work with you, and also show up. I'm not the best with networking. I'm an introvert and that's what's crazy, but like use social media platforms. Put yourself out there. Make a post about your industry. Make a post about something that you're dealing with professionally. I think that as an entrepreneur, you have to put yourself out there and you have to be on to like get that attention organically. And it'll come.
Mm-hmm.
It'll definitely come.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. And I want to continue on with your point too about using social media to promote yourself. To be honest, I struggle with getting on camera because I am an extroverted introvert. And I'm one of those people, I know how to turn it on when it's time to turn it on. But before I turn it on, I'm like, oh Lord, I gotta turn it on kind of thing. And then I try not to like overanalyze myself when I'm on camera, but I do understand the need of leveraging social media to amplify awareness about my profession and my expertise in the field of marketing, because it
Yep.
helps me. And also, indirectly, you could be attracting an audience that when it comes time to look for someone in thought leadership in that space, they look to their social media first to find examples of that living out there in the digital spaces. And you never know who can come across your content, whether you're an entrepreneur or even if you're just doing freelance work, and find you. So you got to make sure, like Nathan said, you take the time to create that content and create that space for that content to live. Don't just be sitting up there at your local coffee shop holding court and telling people all the great things you are. While that's awesome, there are more ground to cover when you use social media in a smart way that can
Yes.
amplify and get you there a lot faster than just running your mouth while grabbing some coffee.
Yes, put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like, you extend your reach so much using social media,
You really,
and I get it. Like, I understand that social media can be a lot at times or whatever, but, like, you gotta put yourself out there.
you do.
You never know what could happen.
And you don't have to show up looking perfect. I know a lot of us are
No.
traumatized by the IG era where we thought we had to have a full face of makeup and, a bust down middle part to show up on camera. But TikTok and platforms similar to TikTok have really leveraged or leveled the playing field for people to just show up as who they are without all the fillers or the things to prop up perfection, essentially. As I mentioned, I have the quick fire questions. Now, mind you, these are top of the dome. So it's whatever comes to your mind first. And remember, stand 10 toes down about your answer, okay?
Okay, okay.
Okay, all right. In your opinion, who is the best rapper or singer of all time?
Beyonce. Be I it depends on the era, but, like, Beyonce been popping my whole life, and I gotta give her credit.
Okay. I've been Beehive like since Destiny's Child. And
Yes.
affiliate Beehive member level 6, code 948144487. How you doing? How you doing? Like, I agree with you. And also too, Nathan, to further that, it's not just the singing, it's the creativity and the
Yes.
presence of execution. All the girlies can't do that. They,
Not at
they
all.
can't. And it shows.
No. Like, what's crazy is that I actually wasn't a part of the Bayhive until the Formation tour,
Okay.
and once I went to that tour, I was like, "Nah, that's it." Like, I just engulfed myself in Beyonce after that. Like, she can do no wrong. Like, her creativity, like you said, her music, you can tell she puts a lot of effort into her artistry, and I
hmm
like that.
And also, what too, Nathan? I wasn't fully in Beehive until I would say, honestly, I came in a little late. So I came in probably during the homecoming era. Like, I was a fan,
Mm,
always a fan, but it didn't like fully like click in for me until homecoming. And I remember watching homecoming on that little grainy YouTube feed at 3 o'clock in the morning, like everybody else. But it wasn't until the Netflix documentary came out. And I
mhm.
said, I get it now. I get it. Because as a creative too, Nathan, seeing the thought that went behind that performance and seeing that breakdown, I just sat there in awe to the point when I am feeling creatively stuck, there are two things I watch. I watch The Devil Wears Prada, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I watch Homecoming on
Okay,
Netflix. I just realized that
okay.
the screen reacted. They'll probably show up in the edits. I have a MacBook. So when I stuck my thumb up, it did a reaction to that. I'm fine with that. But I agree with you on that one too. I am full hive down. And I will be at Cowboy Carter. Cause
I'm so jealous. I could not get tickets, like,
did you check
cheap
again?
enough ticket.
Did you
I did.
check
I
again?
don't wanna I don't wanna be on, like, I wanna be clothed.
We all do, but honey, we fighting these men. Who are these people? We don't know them, but we fighting them for these tickets. Nathan, check again. Well, you gotta go. Nathan, you
I
gotta
will,
go.
I will.
And she's gonna be in
Maybe in Atlanta.
Louisiana. Come on now.
Yeah, it's the Atlanta tour, the Atlanta one. It
Okay.
was between Houston first, and I felt like, Houston's where she's from,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a little tough to get tickets, but I might do Atlanta. I'm debating it.
Okay. If you decide to go, just know you're going to have a good time. I fought for
Yes.
my life for them tickets. And when I tell you the tears, I almost cried when I saw that confirmation to take it.
I bet.
Ah. All right. So my next question for you, you discovered you have magic powers. Like you got your owl to Hogwarts, you got your acceptance letter and all the things. What kind of powers, and that's plural, powers do you have?
Ooh, okay. One, I would like to teleport. Um,
Okay.
like, for example, I love to travel. First of all, gas is high, so I would love to teleport to work. But like, also, I would love to like teleport on a cruise ship on the weekends or on a beach.
Mhm.
Also, maybe invisibility. I would love to
Mm.
be invisible.
Mm.
As an introvert, there's times when I would just like go invisible and hide.
Mhm. I agree with that. I would say invisibility was one of my favorites as well, because there are just times where I just want to fade into the background. But I've been told, Nathan, I have one of those faces that people just want to talk to. So even when I don't want to talk, I end up talking to people, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I just came here to get some creamer from a coffee. I didn't want to have a whole conversation, but that's nice to talk to you. Oh. And then finally, Nathan, if you were a coffee, what kind of coffee would you be?
Cold brew. Because it's
Ooh,
strong and, like, the longer it sits, the better it is. So,
I love
and
good
that's how
food.
kinda how I view my skills and my career. Like, the longer you sit in that seat in the role, the better you
I
are.
like that. See that actually you gave a unique answer. I've never had someone say cold brew. Never.
I love cold.
I love that. I love a good iced coffee when I'm at home, making it at home, and I get my little tumbler. Everyone knows that tumbler is in my hand. It's before 10 a.m. Do not bother me when I'm working from home. And I love having my little Chobani coffee creamer, preferably the sweet cream in the purple
Mm,
bottle.
yes.
Mhm, mhm,
Yes.
mhm. That sweet cream hit every time. It just does something to my coffee. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for joining me for coffee today. How can people find
Of
out more
course.
about you and your platform? Where are you?
Yes, so I am on TikTok and YouTube at Learn with Nate, but instead of Nate, it's N8, the letter N and the number 8. That is my username on YouTube and TikTok. And I might create an Instagram, but I don't know how I feel yet about the Instagram feels.
Mm.
But with the uncertainty of TikTok, YouTube is where I'll be.
Okay, you might consider leaning into Threads instead of an
Mm,
Instagram, because Threads is
yeah.
more thought based. Like you see a lot of people having conversations we do similarly on TikTok on Threads.
Okay.
So just think about that angle instead.
Okay. I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's chat. Don't forget to follow Coffee with Yvonne on IG and Threads at Coffee with Yvonne. And I have my newsletter. You can sign up for personalized audio and video content. I promise you, it's not a long read. It's about 4 minutes of your time. You got that. You get things like Coffee Yvonne podcast episode content, as well as marketing magic breakdowns from your favorite campaigns that were not included on social media. And you can visit the show notes for more information, but find that on Substack. For my personal account, that's me and my day-to-day life. You can find me on Instagram, Fanbase, and TikTok, aka the Clock app, at Yvonne_creative marketer. Then to learn more about me and my business, go ahead and visit pinkdollhousemarketing.com, or you can find me on Instagram. You can slide into my DMs. That's cool. And remember, audience, remember to keep showing up, keep creating, and know that your voice matters. So I will see you next time on Coffee with Yvonne, and I can't wait to chat with you soon. Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Doll House Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.